What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. What's good with y'all? Go check out my other videos. Check them out. But first, stay on this one. So, bet you weren't expecting to see me again tonight. Let's get into it. So, for starters, before I even move on with the video, talk about the topic and get into, demonstrating things, let me go ahead and just show you guys clear, physically and visually inspect it, and the mag only has snap caps in it. So, let's get right into it. We're going to be talking about the 4 most common types of malfunctions and how to fix them or clear them. I don't remember exactly what I put the title as. Same thing. So, let's get right into it. We're not going to beat around the bush in this video. For starters, we're going to start with a failure to feed. So, a failure to feed often happens when the magazine is not fully seated. Like you can see right here, the magazine is not fully seated. For those of y'all who are wondering what the magazine fully seated looks like, that is what it looks like when the magazine is all the way in your gun. Now, some people, though, say during a reload or whatever, they might not hit their mag all the way in. So guess what? Either that'll happen, your mag will fall out like mine will, but then again, this is a used mag. Or, better yet, it might just stay there. You rack it, nothing happens. How are you going to fix that, right? Because, you're going to sit there and always double check, even though I know it's just snap caps in there. Click. How do you fix that? A tap rack. Plain and simple. Because what did that tap rack do? I tapped the bottom of my magazine. I made sure it was inserted by doing that. Racking the slide. I made sure that if there was a faulty round in there, that I got that round out and put a new round in chamber. Now, those of y'all might be wondering, how do we know your gun is 100% ready to be in the fight? Well, let's see here. I just dropped the mag. That's the snap cap. You're going to see a very common theme among a lot of these malfunctions, which is simply that a tap rack can fix it. Tap racks might just be the one thing that saved your life one day and you don't know it. So, number 1, very simple, just tap rack. That was a very slow tap rack on my end, but still got the job done. Now, moving on from number 1, which is a failure to feed. Now, a failure to feed, by the way, can happen in several different ways, not just the way I mentioned before. However, regardless, it's all the same. Tap, rack, maybe even lock the slide back if you need to, depending on what situation you're in. But I'm going to get into that a little bit later. I'm going to get into that. So, let's get right into number 2. Number 2 is a failure to eject. So, a failure to eject is kind of hard to simulate with snap caps. However, essentially, after you would have, always double checked, after you would have fired the round, the slide racks back like it's supposed to because it's trying to get rid of the old round and seat a new round. But it either caused a stovepipe, or it didn't eject fully, or it didn't even eject at all, which I've had some situations with some guns that happens with. And how do you solve that issue? Well, let's say hypothetically, right, let's just say, okay, gun fires, racks back, the trigger's reset, but no shell casing came out. So what do I do to fix that? You might be wondering. Well, C2 malfunction number 1. Oh, we got a lockup. There we are. Sometimes you might get a lockup. You got to be a little more forceful with it. Do not be afraid to use your guns roughly. All right, now, with that being done for number 2, a failure to eject. Very simple fix. Once again, a tap rack. Number 3 is like probably the most common one you will run into, especially if we're talking about using cheap ammunition. What is that going to be, you might be asking? A light strike. Now, we got a dead gun here. Trigger's back. The only way to reset it is to rack the slide anyways. So what are you going to do? Tap rack. And yes, I'm going to pick up all these snap caps later for those of y'all who are wondering. It's my house, but regardless. Now, some of y'all might be wondering, oh, we got 2 left in here. All right, perfect. So I only need 1 more in this case. Actually, I need 2 more for this because you're going to see what number 4 is. Number 4 is a very interesting one and is going to be the most difficult out of the 4 for you to deal with. And it still can be handled in less than 60 seconds if you're smart with it. Now, I'm aware, before I even get into this, some people, hey, when you're in the middle of a gunfight, bro, your adrenaline's going, you might not be noticing some things because you're trying to focus on the threat to your life there. I hear you, but this is why you practice. This is what training does for you. All right, so the next one, number 4, this is going to be the most difficult out of the 4 I'm going to mention. However, still definitely very easy to handle, as I mentioned before, which is a double feed. Some of y'all might be wondering, well, what is a double feed? This is essentially a double feed. You have a round in the chamber still, and another round is trying to feed in. So some of y'all might be wondering, how do I fix this? Because tap rack does nothing. The tap rack isn't the answer here, guys. And while I openly advocate for the tap rack and say, hey, the tap rack might save your life one day, I can also tell you this. In a situation like this, where they double feed, instead of freaking out about it, what are you going to do? You're going to lock the slide back, drop your mag, and then guess what? There we are. Got a little stuck in there. You're going to go ahead and get that bad round out. See what I mean? And that's all 5 of them. Wonderful. See, it works out perfectly well. I was able to show all 4 with just 5 snap caps. You know what I mean? But overall, these malfunctions are very easy to clear. They're very easy to learn how to clear at that too, and they are important to practice. Because guess what? No one can predict a firearms malfunction. No one can predict it unless you're doing something to purposefully cause it. Then you can be like, yeah, well, I expected that. I knew that was going to happen. Like if I sit there, for example, and, have the slide out, out of battery, and I sit here and pull the trigger, nothing happens. Yeah, I'm expecting that to be the case because I'm purposefully doing this that way it's not in battery so the trigger can't be pulled. Release, and oh, that's a different story. The trigger's now live, and because safety always matters, trigger's now live, you're good to go. Have it back a little bit. Hold on, ready? There we are. Out of battery, nothing. Can't do anything with it. But I know that, though, because I'm purposefully doing it. So here's the thing. If you're not practicing clearing your malfunctions, honestly, you're just being kind of dumb, in my opinion. You don't know when a malfunction will happen. And if you do know when a malfunction is going to happen, it simply means that you're either forcing it to happen, you were causing it to happen, or you don't care enough about yourself to get something to defend yourself that's not going to malfunction on you. And realistically speaking, what's the bigger issue here? Either you forcing something to malfunction, maybe you're doing it for fun, maybe, it's just a bad habit that you have that causes it. So whether you're willingly whether you're knowingly or unknowingly causing it to, to have malfunctions, what's worse, that or just getting something that's not going to function properly anyways? Either way, in the end, it sounds like if you're choosing either of those options, you really need to know how to clear malfunctions. And I think I just gave you a pretty good tutorial here on the top 4 most common ones you will find. With that being said, y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all and. I don't know how you can disagree with me on this one, so I'm not going to really include that in this video because I just showed you guys how to clear these malfunctions. But with that being said, y'all make sure to check out all my other videos. Y'all make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.